podcast.
That's right.
So it's Pam and Renee Untamed. Let's talk about it. Here in Maryland, Pam and Renee are your consummate professional realtors for anybody looking to buy or sell a house. But today,
Well, you
we
forgot
have
to tell them how to reach us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I forgot to say. So if you want to reach us at any point in time, you reach us by email. And the way you do that is you email pnr.untamed@gmail.com because that's our email address.
Right.
But today we have a special treat for you.
We do.
We do. Today we have two mortgage lenders here with us from Prosperity Home Mortgage. And their names are Josh and Kyle. And we are prepared to share with you some of the hilarious stories of what goes on when people try to get a mortgage to try to buy a house. As you know, we always try to bring you information that is relevant to home buying and selling, but at the same time, we're here to entertain you.
Exactly.
That's our goal.
And we hope they're going to entertain us too.
Right, because we're running out of entertainment, so that's why we brought them in. And they are funny.
Woohoo!
Guys, would you like to say hello?
Hey, thank you for having us on your podcast. I think it's a great opportunity, especially with everything that's going on in the mortgage world right now. I think that being able to reflect and look at some of the scenarios that have happened, and as mortgage increases in the next year and business really starts to get driven in the spring coming up, I think a lot of these funny stories that are going to be coming out will really start to continue. But I'm excited to be here.
In case you didn't know, that was Kyle.
Oh, yes, that's Kyle.
That's Kyle. Let's hear from Josh.
Yeah.
Josh, also happy to be here. There's no place I'd rather be right now.
Betcha.
And if you saw the look on his face, you'd know that that's not true. All right, so we thought what we would do today is, because lending isn't funny, we thought we would start with some interesting or funny stories that have come up when underwriters, for those of you that don't know, an underwriter is the person that reviews your file and says yay or nay to you getting a loan. And so we have situations that underwriters went a little bit, maybe what we would consider over the top. What do you say, Pam?
Yeah, it's like maybe they don't understand all the rules either.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they make the rules.
They do.
So,
Or
yeah.
enforce, I guess.
I guess they enforce.
More of an enforcer, yeah.
Yeah, they're enforcers. Woo!
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the funny situations that we were looking at was there was a person who was applying for a mortgage, and I guess at some point in their past they had been under a house arrest, which is usually not good because it's hard to make money when you're under house arrest. Oh, unless you work from home.
There you go. Nowadays,
go.
it's okay.
Nowadays, it's okay.
Very popular.
Yeah.
Okay. So this underwriter wanted proof that the borrower was no longer under house arrest. So I'm going to ask Josh first. I want to know, have you ever had a situation where you had where you had a potential borrower who was under house arrest?
If I did, it didn't come up.
Ooh.
It wasn't one of
Not one of the questions
one
you
of the
asked?
questions I asked initially. We don't have a box for that on an application or anything.
Well, that's good. So for those of you who out there who may have been under house arrest, and you don't have to call us or email us and let us know, but in case you were, you might want to apply with Prosperity Home Loan because apparently it's not a question on their application.
Yeah, it would be considered a primary residence.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's
They're looking to buy
So
it.
that's all good. All right.
Just have to know the address of.
So you're essentially looking to buy a new cell for yourself, right?
Now,
A new cell.
so my big question with this scenario, you're hearing that somebody is on house arrest. Did they own the house that they were arrested in, or was this a rental situation and they were looking to buy another house? How would the exchange of their house arrest be? Do they go from point A where they are arrested in this house? How would they ever be able to move into their next house
Police escort.
if they were still arrested?
You have to get in a paddy wagon, and then they
paddy wagon.
The paddy wagon.
The paddy wagon brings you to your new.
Time
There
off
you
for
go.
good behavior.
And
You're
time
in
off.
your new house.
So another point.
That's the way for your neighbors to get to know you. Oh,
Yeah.
they came in a
They
paddy
came in a
wagon.
paddy wagon. So this
bigger than
this is really good. That's good that you brought that up, Kyle, because now what I'm going to say to our listeners out there, if you are considering a mortgage and you are considering buying a new home, and it just so happens you're currently under house arrest, prior to applying for your new mortgage, I would highly recommend that you finish your sentence at house arrest, because
Yes.
otherwise we have to get into the complexities of getting you from house A to
I don't
house
know.
B.
Could they Uber? Couldn't they just Uber over?
No, you can't come out of your house.
As
And
one,
then ankle
and I want to make sure this is
Yeah,
on the record,
true.
as one who has never been under house arrest.
That's Kyle, that's
am-
Kyle.
That's Kyle, yes. I am not necessarily familiar with how leaving your property goes about. Showings may be difficult as you're under house arrest. A lot of things sight unseen because you can't get out of the
Yeah,
house.
they can
It's
buy
online,
via
so-
video.
Yeah,
you
via
know?
video.
Yeah.
Agent
So-
will video it and.
While the
As-
underwriter may have some issues, I think the idea of them transporting and the logistics of purchasing a house may be difficult all around for someone on house arrest.
So I guess you might have to go to whomever, put them under house arrest, and say, we're buying another house, we need our address for house arrest moved over.
Yes, precisely.
A new house.
A lot of things to consider. Here's another one, though. There was an underwriter that had an appraisal that was not outdated. For those that don't know, the appraisal is the part where the lender orders an appraisal to solidify to the lender what the value of the house is, make sure that the value of the house is equal to or greater than what you're paying for it, so that the lender feels comfortable making the mortgage. And this underwriter said that they wanted an updated appraisal, even though the appraisal that they had in hand wasn't expired. It was current. But the underwriter questioned it because they said that it had to be old, because in the picture, the trees in the background were still green, and apparently it was fall or winter, and
Maybe too
the
old.
trees had,
Wow.
they weren't green anymore. But the thing was, they were evergreen trees. And someone had to explain that to the underwriter.
They are evergreen.
They're evergreen.
They're just not
they're
spring and summer.
evergreen.
It's right there in
So
the name.
what would you do with an underwriter that asked you for a new appraisal because the trees were still green, and so that appraisal must be old?
Oh, man.
That is a great question, because we do get, when you get the appraisal report, there will be pictures that the appraiser has taken of the property.
Right.
So the underwriter is going to be able to evaluate those and determine certain factors that they might want to have clarified based on what they're seeing in the pictures.
Right.
So I suppose, depending on the time of the year, if you saw trees with leaves on them, it could be suspicious, given that you would expect the trees to have the leaves to have fallen off. If I was in a conversation with the underwriter, I would think I would have to give them a little bit of a first or second grade elementary school science class and teach them about a variety of trees, that there are certain trees which certainly keep their leaves throughout the whole year, and other ones that happen to fall
But
off.
So we need a licensed arborist to get involved.
On call.
Yeah,
On call,
On
yes.
call.
Yep, on their letterhead.
Yes.
To write a detailed
That's it.
explanation
Or-
about the life cycle of an evergreen.
How about go to the house, cut a branch, and bring it to the underwriter? Here it is, green, yesterday.
There you go.
know?
Yeah, FedEx, UPS shipped that in one day overnight.
That's right.
A branch from the evergreen tree in the backyard.
That's right,
of the
showing it's
property.
evergreen.
Yeah, but really, I think it does bring up a great point to where the underwriters have, the ability to hold up some things because they noticed something that
It's
otherwise
true.
may have gone unnoticed. But that's why it takes really skilled loan officers to combat some of the underwriters at times.
Yeah, but you kind of have to walk a tightrope with them, right?
Absolutely.
Because you want them in your
You want them to
camp.
be your
Well,
friend.
at Prosperity, we have very good collateral underwriters.
Yes.
I don't see that happening, and if it did happen, I think that it would probably get resolved before the question even landed on my desk.
Because that person be gone.
I'm just sure it would get worked out amongst the appraisal
Amongst
department.
themselves.
Yeah.
Then
not
it's,
to
oh,
get us
we were in
involved.
error. It's okay. It's
Yeah.
evergreen.
It's all right. It's evergreen.
It's evergreen trees.
Evergreen.
Yeah.
There you go.
And all right, here's another situation that has come up. This would never happen with a Prosperity underwriter.
Never.
So
Okay.
again, we love these lenders. We work with these lenders all the time, Josh and Kyle, and as consummate real estate professionals, Pam and I are, we always recommend to our buyers that they get a pre-approval from Prosperity, because we count on these guys, and they have great underwriters. So
And
this
we
one-
know where they live.
and we know where they live. So that's always a good sign. And they want to be able to start their own cars in the morning. So, yeah. But here's one. What about the situation where the borrower's occupation was listed as homemaker, and the underwriter, in that case, asked for a verification of employment form to be completed by the employer? The employer would be the house, where she's the homemaker. Have you ever had a situation where an underwriter has asked a homemaker to provide verification of employment?
Well, there has to be a sense of if they are a homemaker for a living. Let's elaborate. What exactly is a homemaker in
Is it a
this
stay-at-home
definition?
parent?
Is this
I think it's a stay-at-home parent.
Yeah, that
I think that shouldn't have been defined on the application to begin with.
Absolutely.
You just shouldn't have put an employer because there is no employer.
Yes.
So you created
a situation.
a
problem.
situation, where you left it to the underwriter to
Now,
make a
what-
discretionary
what I
call.
Yeah,
will
but what
say-
happens if they? But wait, it says employment. If you say none,
Right.
if you're a homemaker and you put in none for your
Right.
employment, then you're going to be assumed to be unemployed.
No, not necessarily.
No? Okay, good.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's just that we're not using any of your. You can be employed and still not use your income in qualifying.
Aha!
Sure.
Good
you want the mortgage.
information.
You want the mortgage in your name,
Yeah.
but you don't want to go through the hassle of providing paperwork, or maybe you're self-employed and don't want to get into tax
Well,
returns.
and
Yeah.
the other thing I would say is in a situation like this, if somebody wanted to define themselves as a homemaker, they could have a spouse who owns and operates a business, and they end up paying their significant other.
Oh, yeah.
How do they pay them? Through, they don't
As an
necessarily do
independent
work at the
contractor.
company, but they pay them as the homemaker, and that's kind of the title that they have. So maybe they are reporting and collecting income, looking to use that as the
Part of the qualification.
part of the qualification. And I think if there was a VOE, they might have to call the other spouse or husband and say,
Yeah.
Is there any difference between homemaker and house arrest? Is that the same?
Actually, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it's the same
Having
thing.
as a mom,
Yeah.
as a mom who was a stay-at-home mom, I'm going to use that expression.
Yeah.
Okay, when my children were little, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I personally think house arrest is more attractive
Well,
than a stay-at-home.
it's a stay-at-home felon. I mean,
There you go.
right? Not
Same
by
thing.
choice.
Same
I
thing.
feel like I've been on house arrest for 2 weeks with snow
Sometimes,
and
that's
school
it.
closures.
There
That's
you
what
go.
happens.
There you go. So let's see if I can find any others. These are kind of fun. How about the one about the borrower who put down a mailing address of a P.O. box? So this borrower put down a P.O. box as their mailing address, and the underwriter wanted a letter from USPS, that would be the United States Postal Service, that they actually own a 10-inch post office box that's their primary address. So this person had to be really small if they lived in this P.O. box.
That's a mailing address. That's not a primary address. So I would have pushed back on that for sure.
I would have pushed back on that as well. But really, who owns the P.O. box?
You know what is the reason?
You rent it. Is what
I
you
can think
do.
of a few scenarios where someone might need a P.O. box. But what's the real reason for a P.O. box?
Because I'm in the witness
Someone's-
protection program,
Someone's
and I don't
stealing
want
your mail.
anybody to know where I live.
Someone's stealing your mail.
Very
Is that-
well could
Very
be.
good.
Or you're
Could
like,
be.
I'm thinking rural, right? Where they don't have post office
Yeah, yeah,
delivering
Okay.
mail every day. But I
Okay.
just don't even understand
Need
why
for a post
so
office
many
box.
people have
P.O. boxes.
All right, I'm going to throw this out to our listeners now. So if you are a listener who has a P.O. box, we would love for you to email us. Again, I'm
what
going to give
illegal
you
activities you're
what-
No.
I would like for you to email us
If you
and
do
let
have
us
illegal
know.
activity, don't tell us.
Yeah.
I want you to email us and let us know why you have a P.O. box so that we can put together a lot of good reasons for people to have P.O. boxes.
There you
And
go.
again, our email address is pnr.untamed@gmail.com. There you go.
All right.
So that's pnr.untamed@gmail.com. We are looking for emails letting us know why you have a P.O. box so that we can compile a list of reasons so that
Yeah.
we become more knowledgeable. We're always open to learning new things.
Don't send any illegal information to us.
Please.
Please,
No.
please don't.
No.
Let's look at one. There's a reputation that VA loans that because they're government backed and VA loans, that sometimes the underwriters and the VA can be a lot pickier about where they're going to put their money, where they're going to make a loan, and they may want things to be in better condition. They may want things explained a little better. So there was a VA buyer who had the borrower put down as her occupation that she was a hooker, and she declared her income on her tax returns.
Very nice.
Yeah, so she's an above board hooker.
Exactly.
It may not be legal, but
Well,
Depending
like
on where you
Nevada,
are.
I think, or something.
Yeah,
There's
Nevada.
places.
Some states.
That it is.
Yeah.
so this underwriter wanted to get affidavits from her regulars that they were
Clientele.
actually her clients.
Come on.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
is this?
Let's talk about this. How do you verify income if you're self-employed as a hooker?
Bank statement program, perhaps, recurring deposits.
so every
Oh.
month.
But then you got to prove you're self-employed. I don't know. I don't know what proof.
I think
we'd
you
wanna
would have to find a
see.
contract that you would have with the nightclub or the club in general.
Is that how it works? I'm not really too
With the
familiar with
brothel?
how.
I work at this brothel in Nevada.
Yeah, so is it like, I mean, it sounds like you need to get a VOE from a pimp or
Yes.
something. Right? I don't
I
know
don't
that they're
know.
willing to put themselves
But
out there on paper.
they should know how to complete that because they're the money people, right? The pimp, they keep
Yeah,
the
see,
money.
I mean, historically, someone in a profession like that would probably do better buying a house cash
There you go.
No.
and not having to deal with.
Yeah.
And
Or-
let's
or-
face
or
it,
a
a
no
successful hooker should be able to do a cash
But
purchase.
isn't
Can
cash a
I- yes.
4-letter word to you guys?
I mean,
I think it's a 4-letter word to everybody.
yeah.
Yeah, you spell it C-A-S-H.
Hooker's a 6-letter word. I don't know if that's relevant for any reason, but I don't know how you
Yeah.
would. I mean, if you're claiming on your tax returns, it's legit. You don't need to go. You shouldn't have to go beyond that.
You
Yes.
shouldn't
2
have
years of tax returns.
Give them the tax returns, huh?
Yeah, tax
I
returns.
think at that point, that underwriter may not have had her cup of coffee or was in a bad mood and just really wanted
Oh, didn't like hookers
just
Or in shock by the fact that they got an application
from a hooker?
From
from
a
a
hooker.
hooker because it's just something that we don't, I
Usually.
think, often see.
and maybe because of that they were ruffling feathers by asking for a little bit more than
Right.
typical. But yeah, that's
They
certainly
let their
out of the
own
box.
personal feelings get involved in it, not right by the rules, right?
So
Could be.
we also see a scenario where someone had applied for a loan as borrower, and actually the borrower had a little bit of a gap in employment, and it was explained by the fact that he had suffered an illness and was unable to work during the time that there was this gap in employment. And the underwriter asked for a letter from the doctor, not that he had been unable to work during that gap in employment, but a letter saying that he was healed and that his illness wouldn't come back.
What?
How would you handle a situation like that? Oh, I've stumped the lenders. They're just looking at me.
Yeah, I think that is really inappropriate in a lot of ways. I don't think that anybody can predict the future in the sense that you could
You have to
imagine
say,
that
no
this
doctor's
disease
gonna
is-
write it.
No doctor would write that.
They
That
won't
you're not
come
gonna get
back?
That
that
you're
your
not going to
illness
get
won't come
another
back
illness.
and be unemployed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's as difficult as getting a roof certification.
That-
No one's putting their name on that.
That's pretty
Yeah.
bad, that's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
There you go.
Falls
So
in the same
Yeah,
category,
you're gonna
yeah.
need a letter from
I
Jesus. There's no-
again I want to shout out here to our lenders that are sitting with us, Josh and Kyle at Prosperity, because I'm going to say that Kyle answered that with his first answer to that was that it was an inappropriate question to say, I need a letter saying that your illness won't come back. But yet, I did not hear either Josh or Kyle question someone being a hooker for a VA loan.
Well, she was a.
She was
Well,
legit.
she
served
served
the
her country and she serves her client.
Yeah, and she's obviously serving them well if she can afford to buy a house.
There you go.
And put all the income on her tax
I was
returns.
actually thinking about that. I didn't want to bring it up because
Yeah, yeah.
that definitely
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
didn't
you
go
know,
by.
When you're good at service, you're good at service.
service is service.
Service is service. Absolutely.
Well,
Oh my
this
gosh.
has been a lot of fun. Actually, I've had a good time chuckling over these things, and I think some of these we've read a few others that are pretty funny. One of them wanted an underwriter who wanted the source of funds letter for a $12 deposit. For those of you who don't know, when you are applying for a mortgage and there's an unusual deposit in your bank account, But unusual, it's not usually $12. I mean, if you
It's
got
a
a
lot.
tax refund and you suddenly had this deposit in your bank account and you'd gotten, $2,500 back from the IRS. And if you have, by the way, give me a call because I've never gotten money back from the IRS. I'd like to know how you finagled that. But if you get a large deposit and it's an unusual deposit put in your checking account, and the underwriters may ask for an explanation, and that seems legit, but we've been reading about these interesting stories, and one came up about a source of funds letter for a $12 deposit, and I'm happy to say that that in fact our loan officers here and our underwriters that work through Prosperity probably wouldn't ask for a letter
Probably
like that.
We've all, I think, at some point feel like something's been over documented. They've
Yeah.
defined now what a large deposit is. As
Oh, have
as
they?
like a percentage
Sure.
of your monthly income.
Oh,
So
good.
if it's a $12,
It
but
could
if
be.
it's a deposit, that's money that came in.
Right.
Yeah.
You need to document where every dollar you're using to buy the house came from.
Right.
If they needed that $12.
That was their last $12.
Yeah, then I, it's frustrating, but so be it.
And when now that they have documented what a large deposit is and it's a percentage of your income, this is where working for all cash as a hooker has its advantages because you can bury a lot.
Sure can.
You can. You guys, this has been a lot of fun, and I'm very impressed with your answers.
You think you're done?
Are we?
I don't know. I think maybe the guys have something to say.
I would hope. Would you guys have
Sure.
anything to say? Tell us some funny stories. Tell us a little bit about maybe a funny story about something that happened with loans. I see that.
Or things people do before while they're in process of getting a loan that kind of like put the kibosh on it, shall we say? Anything like that happening?
I mean, we've, I think, all experienced someone making a large purchase while in the process of buying a house, whether that's opening up a new credit card at like a furniture store and maxing it out, and then we need to repull your credit at some point, and now these maxed out credit cards have brought your credit score down. Or I've had someone buy a boat, someone buy new cars. I mean, I think I've seen it all.
And so
doing
those
that
people
kind
are
of-
living in their new car or their boat because
Yeah,
they couldn't get the house.
Yeah, what do you do if you're...
I think
So
a
this
lot
is-
of people don't realize that.
This is something,
Yeah.
to our listeners, for those
Yeah.
of you who maybe haven't bought a home before, when you do go to buy a home, and we hope you do, and we hope you call Pam and Renee and Josh and Kyle
Right.
here in Maryland if you're buying a home. But when you do, and your lender says, please don't make any unusual large purchases between
They
the
mean it.
time you make application and the time you settle on your home,
Mm-hmm.
they mean what they're saying, because just because your credit has already been pulled, it will be verified at the end. And if they see things like a purchase of a car, a purchase of a boat, maxing out some brand new credit card, those things are going to affect your ability to settle on that house. And you may be living on that new couch you bought out on the street because...
Yeah, I think it's important to be very direct with that question, because unusual means different things to different people.
It's true.
Right.
Yeah, it might be normal to them, but to an underwriter, it might be unusual.
Yeah,
Unusual.
that's true.
But yeah, we want to make it as smooth as possible.
Yeah.
Right.
And
So-
speaking of, you mentioned, the large deposits and the purchasing of large furnitures. I had a client not too long ago who had sold their boat to use as a down payment, but he was, not all the down payment, but a portion of the down payment, I should say, and he was a Facebook Marketplace user, and he sold the boat on Facebook Marketplace and had next to no receipt except for transaction statements that matched up with a Venmo payment from another
wow.
person.
Oh, great.
So even if you think, I can sell something to get a certain amount of cash back, it really behooves you to go through the proper methods of transferring title and having
make a
deed
bill of sale,
bill of
yeah.
sale if you're selling something of large value, because I think places like Market Facebook Place or eBay or places where a lot of people are doing business now, and it's a huge source of income or assets for somebody. But when the underwriter looked at the Facebook messages and the Venmo deposit and the lack of boat, they were very confused, and we had to go through some other measures in order to make sure and get a letter of explanation from the person who bought the boat.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
became a whole process to explain what that
Yeah.
deposit was, but it really can be an issue at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, let's ask a question. How old was that underwriter? An old person like me, and they wouldn't get it.
Honestly, you would be amazed. I don't think there's an age of an underwriter where they haven't seen something yet. These underwriters go through a lot of files, and
Well, that's
they
probably
are
true.
very, very up to speed with the way that people are taking payments and accepting various purchases
Yeah.
these days. So.
Well, I think that's good information, and you know that brings up the fact that there are so many steps that you go through when you're looking to purchase a home, and you know those kinds of steps include things like writing a contract when you find your home of choice. Then you're ready to write that contract, and as realtors, we explain what an earnest money deposit is. The buyer has to come in with doesn't have to, but is asked to come in with a certain amount that they're going to give you as a deposit to go with their offer, which says it's not the full down payment on the house, but it's some good
We're
faith
earnest.
money.
We're
It's
earnest.
It's earnest money. And in this day and age, we do get questions like, well, can I Venmo that to you? Well, no, because it's really hard to, you know, first off, it's not coming to us, it's going to the brokerage. And second of all,
Keeping the money straight, right?
keeping the money straight. And second of all, we do look a lot of people in the face who say, well, I don't have a checking account. I don't know how to write a check.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh-oh.
things have changed in this world. And
Some people, she's not excluding present and company.
yeah, I want to say here that, you know, Kyle, who is actually really up to speed on how things work, but he is of that age when, you know, those young guys that don't have a checking account, or young girls that don't have a checking account, or, you know, don't know which side of the envelope a stamp goes on.
That's what I was going to say.
For the record, I ordered my first checkbook
Woo!
just the other day because I did have some things that needed to be paid with a check.
See?
So
Well,
I
you could do
am
money
learning
orders, huh?
some of the older ways that are tried and true.
Yeah.
Older.
Uh-oh.
Tried and true older ways.
Okay.
He's choosing his words really carefully
Yes.
here because, you know, he doesn't want to offend the old realtors that are sitting
Yeah,
here.
that's right.
And the old loan officer.
And the old loan
In
officer.
my pocket full of silver coins.
That's what you
Yeah.
got? Okay,
Yeah.
good for you.
Now, this has
So,
been great.
yeah.
You guys are awesome.
Been wonderful.
We love you. We love working with you. And I know that the clients out there that are going to call us or going to email us are when they do, we're going to highly recommend that they get pre-approved with one of you guys because we trust you.
They're going to
And
email us, so we're
Appreciate
going to email them back their information.
That's
There it
exactly
is.
how it works. We send
Right?
you the lender's information.
Yeah.
You can hop right in, get pre-approved online. By the way, this can be done online. It can even be done with an app.
Uh-oh.
There it is.
Uh-oh.
And that
An
brings a
app.
whole nother situation because, you know, we have to talk about how to use the app, and maybe we'll do a podcast about that
Sometime
someday.
in the future.
Sometime in the
So.
future. Again, if you do need to reach us or these amazing loan officers, please feel free to reach out to us via email at pnr.untamed@gmail.com. I love the way Pam chimes in with the gmail.com. It's a part we do in unison.
Woo.
We've really enjoyed entertaining you today, and I hope we have.
Yeah.
And I hope that you will reach out to us if you or anyone you know is looking to buy or sell a home here in Maryland, because we are your consummate professionals.
Right.
Thank you for tuning
Thank
in.
you.
Thank you, Josh and Kyle,
Thank you.
for joining
Thank
us
you for having
today.
us.
Have a good
And
one.
we will be back next week with another episode of Pam and Renee Untamed.
Untamed.